Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today we have got an open box video for you with some Connecticut Colonial coins. I chose to send a bunch of these guys in and just see how they would grade them. And so we're going to take a quick look here and kind of talk about what we're looking at. These guys, it's kind of a mixed bag. They really were crudely struck, and so it's kind of hard to tell the grade overall. You know, there's the date 1787, and then I want you to pay attention to there's like a little flower, and then Indy, and a couple more, a dot, and a couple more flowers. This is gonna play into something we're going to talk about later with the lettering and whatnot here. So this one they called a fine 12 brown, which is fun because you know I they weren't going to get to red brown I think on any of the coins I had. So this one's cool. It's a little bit off center, and we're going to go ahead and look. This is also the 1787 variety, and we'll see. Looks to be similar. Does that have a dot or a colon? Now let's look at this. No, see that one? Nope, no, that was the two dots. It's probably not a colon. I'm not a doctor though, so don't ask me. Fine 15, and in this one you can tell has a little more detail, but even then it's hard to know exactly because they're struck so inconsistently. You know, because if you look at all the flatness on the face of this guy here, you know, but a lot of that's probably from the strike. I mean, it's really not like what we're used to with modern silver coins where they're struck very evenly and everything is pretty consistent. Next up. All right, so we've got three flowers at the top of this one. There's a lot more going on here than just those things. I'm just pointing out some of the obvious. And so you see that line that goes across the middle? That's just like a part of the planchet, a planchet flaw. That big line that runs right there. Big piece of metal sticking up. Also a fine 12. I would argue this one actually probably has a little more detail. I would have called it, like the second one, I would have called that a fine 15. And they're also sometimes a little more gracious. So a coin like this, sometimes you look at it and you think, well, you know, this should be net graded. It's got this pock mark there. You know, but the reality is that this coin has not been cleaned. It's kind of true to how they came. Another 1787. And this one also they called a fine 15. So overall, these are pretty cool coins. Oh, I got one more to show you in here. They range in price. I don't know. They're about $150 type coins. So this one's really interesting on a couple levels. This has this really outrageous lamination going up the middle of the coin. That's where the metal was just peeling from the planchet. Something fierce. And it's also interesting because the other ones are all 1787s. This one is 1785. It is also interesting because this one they called a very fine, and bent. They mention it's bent, which is interesting because you know it's you got them with big pock marks and stuff, and then the bent one. I mean, it's not so bent that they couldn't put it in the holder, right? So the bending apparently isn't that big of a bend because you got to fit it in these four prongs still. So there's a little bit of a saga that goes with these guys, which, like I was saying, they all trade for about $150 or so, somewhere in there. And that saga is that I sent NGC an extra $15 per coin on what they call Variety Plus, in which case they're supposed to look up this type, and I've shown you there's all these different things, and the State Coinage of Connecticut book by Henry Miller, and you're supposed to go ahead and you can see all the different varieties, and it has to do some with these different types of dots and lettering, and you know, they're all different, and there's hundreds of these varieties. So I paid him the extra $15 per coin to put in a variety attribution, and you can see that they did not put the variety attribution on there. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, what's going on? And they said, oh, well, we don't do variety attribution on these coins. I said, oh, okay, because I've seen lots of coins at auction that have the variety attribution right on the label. Well, apparently that was some special deal that they had done for bigger collections. Also, there's a pretty good chance that that was a something that they had done in the past. It doesn't mean they're going to do it currently. Now, here's the rub for me. You know, they kept my $15 per coin after they told me, well, we don't attribute those. And I wrote, I said, oh, well, just tell the accountant to go ahead and, you know, credit me the money. And then they wrote back and they said, well, see, no, because that goes to the grader for, you know, looking for the variety, even if, you know, there is none. So right now, I still don't, this is still in the works as of this filming. But I just kind of wrote them back. I'm like, well, you know, you guys didn't attribute anything. Like, you looked at it and said, well, we don't attribute those. So why did I pay extra money for them to not attribute them? Because the drape bus left, the bus left, the date, all of these, if I just sent them in on the normal pace, all of these labels would have said the same thing on them. That is not a variety attribution. So anyway, we'll see what happens with all that. It'll be the ongoing saga. So anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen.